slowly roll in. But I hope you're all doing well this morning or this afternoon, this evening, whatever time it is, wherever you're at. How is everyone today? Yeah, I don't think there's anybody here yet. And that's all right. It takes a moment to kick in. This is also something to consider of perhaps doing a little bit of a countdown to the stream, like a 5-minute timer, Give a little time for people to come in, start talking amongst each other, and then when I hop in live, there's already a conversation existing and I could roll off with that. But as have the last several streams been, you come in slowly but surely, and we get in 7, 20, 30, a couple hundred people. But I guess for now, I'll start off by saying this morning's PGN Live was supposed to be a Famitsu sales update with data going from August 3rd through August 10th in Japan in both hardware and software, but we don't have that news yet. So since we don't, there's nothing to talk about in that regard. However, I could always pull up other sales data from like a previous week or something like that, do a little internet sleuthing and give you a report on, what does this site say that Nintendo Switch 2 is at? PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, Steam Deck's total sales. What are the top games on eShop and all of that kind of stuff, But yeah, we don't have like the actual top 10 for the last week yet. I imagine that will come in tomorrow in that case. However, what we do have to talk about this morning is something exciting, and that is Capcom related. Capcom announced that at the October New York Comic-Con, which will be taking place in the middle of October, they're going to have a 90-minute presentation. That's really cool. Capcom is one of my favorite companies. We go way back to the mid-1980s, late 1980s with the likes of Mega Man, really, and Street Fighter. And of course, throughout the 90s, really big into Street Fighter and still Mega Man, but seeing Darkstalkers come from them, Resident Evil, Rival Schools, and into the 2000s, expanding with Lost Planet, Beautiful Joe, more Resident Evil, a Street Fighter resurgence with Street Fighter 4, and more and more, like into the 2010s and 2020s, Monster Hunter blowing up. You've got Onimusha back then. You've got, quite a bit. Devil May Cry. The company's really done a lot over the years, and I probably am a Capcom fan first when it comes to their fighting games. That's probably my favorite thing they produce, but honestly, action, adventure, shoot 'em up, I was a big fan of Final Fight back in the day, and I like to see Final Fight incorporated into the current Street Fighter games, like with Metro City and the lore that the two franchises share. What I would like to see most from Capcom moving forward is definitely more Mega Man. Mega Man coming back with a new, modern, awesome-looking 2D action platform adventure type game, maybe set in the Mega Man X universe, would just be perfect. Or like a Mega Man Legends 3 that we were supposed to get way back in like 2013 or so for the Nintendo 3DS. Having that come back today, in today's era, seeing how does Capcom take on Mega Man in 3D, which they haven't done in a long time. That would be fun. Of course, we do know that they've got plans on bringing back some other franchises. We saw some pop up at Summer Game Fest, for instance, this past June. So yeah, new Dino Crisis, right? There's a lot that Capcom's got. Huh. What would you like to see most from Capcom in general, or potentially at this October Comic-Con 90-minute presentation? Let me know. Gosh, there's something else. Something else from Capcom that we do know about. Yeah. It'll come to me eventually, or in the chat, somebody will talk about it. But what are you looking forward to? Let me know. Let me see. What do we have here? Just in case there is some new update. Yeah, it's a little bit of a quiet morning for video game news. So we don't have a lot to talk about. I just hopped on because I did say yesterday, hey, I'd be on today to go over Famitsu sales, and we didn't get that, so I could have just not come on at all, but in case you were looking forward to some type of discussion, that's why I popped back on. Unless if the sales popped up, I don't think so. Also, for those watching, what is your preferred form of these streams? Do you like the vertical more, or do you like the horizontal? The horizontal is, what I'm more used to, since you sit in front of the desktop, you've got chat, keyboard, talking, that kind of thing. But the vertical is pretty much just as easy to set up. It's iPhone, throw it in the tripod, and there you go. I can still see the comments. I can still scroll up in case I missed a comment. Gifted memberships, super chats, they still pop up, so you still get my thanks, my appreciation. Only thing is that there is no visual aesthetic that I could drop in here as a permanent, thank you, highlight to this person for this contribution or whatever, like I did last night when we had the gifted memberships and the super chats, where it was permanently on the screen for the rest of the stream. Yeah, this stream might be relatively short then, since the only thing I was really going to talk about moving forward was the Capcom thing. I could picture Okami showing up, because that's something that we already do know that is in development, an Okami sequel, and that's really cool. So maybe that'll be there in October. Yeah, so I apologize for the lack of news this morning. I mean, sometimes it's just a light morning, which may also be why it's a little bit better to do these live streams in the afternoon. Yesterday and for the last few days in a row, I've done them in the afternoon, at least afternoon Pacific time, and that's why we've had 10, 20, 30, 40, 200 people watching, because it's 3 o'clock for me. Yeah, I guess a good amount of people watching are probably off of work or on the way home from their work, and they just have a live stream on to listen to on break potentially, or already home from work, like if you're on the East Coast or Central Time, maybe on lunch break or something like that if you're in Hawaii. But as we also saw, there is a benefit to starting at different times, because yesterday we had people from several different countries that are not just United States or even Canada or Mexico from having comparable time zones to California, and that was cool. Like people at 9 p.m. over in Europe, and it was nice to see. So yeah, I guess that was around 12 o'clock my time for those folks there. 9 for them. But yeah, you wait a little bit longer in the day, and the benefit is you do have more things to talk about because more companies announced something on X, and then you have a little bit more to discuss. So right now it's a little bit of a short morning with just some Capcom stuff. That's about it. Let me know though, what would you like to talk about? Is there anything on your mind? Dragon Drive? Any of you picking that up today? Did any of you play the demo for that matter over the weekend? I didn't expect the game to be, a giant seller or anything. I played it at the Nintendo Switch 2 experience a few months ago, so I knew it wasn't going to be for everyone. I had some fun with it, but I was even like back then, how long will I play it? How deep, how involved is it going to be? How much is it going to be for a little bit of a different, a little bit more simple of an experience of a game, but it still could have some complexity, could still have some fun. Probably not worth being a $60 title, in my opinion, but 40, 30, 20, 20 would be a hot spot. Would they go that low? I don't know. Evidently, that was the plan. $20. So the point of entry is not that bad. It's just a matter of, is it fun enough? Do you like it enough? And I played the demo again, several days ago, and it was still fun. My kids enjoyed it too. That was pretty cool. Will I get it? Oh, I have enough to play right now, so I'm not itching necessarily like, oh, I have to play it. I have to own it. But I would consider still getting it for that $20. It is like I said, a low enough point of entry for something that I'll probably have at least a few hours of entertainment with, and then over time hop in once in a while. So you look at a few years and picking it up now and then. That'd be something fun. Scotty Adams says, Scott Adams Jr., GTA 6, Nintendo Switch 2. NASCAR 25 game, Nintendo Switch 2. Racing game, Nintendo Switch 2. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 6. Moving away from Dragon Drive and the Capcom discussion, GTA 6 is something that I would really like to see come to Nintendo Switch 2, and I think it's definitely possible. We know that Rockstar has had some success with the Grand Theft Auto trilogy on Nintendo Switch, and that's actually getting a little bit of an update where, the cartridge version that you buy now is seemingly going to be all 3 games on one cartridge, whereas the cartridge version that I picked up a few years ago, yes, it was a box, yes, it had the cartridge in the box, but not all of the game was there. You had to download some of it in order to have the full experience, and that was fine. I don't recall exactly how many gigs were on the cart and then how many gigs did I have to download in order to get the full experience of all 3 games. Of course, it also got a little bit of a patch or patches eventually that updated the performance, the visuals, that kind of thing. So I guess if you're looking at getting some type of Grand Theft Auto experience on Nintendo Switch, now is as good of a time as any to pick it up, because you'll be getting a more complete version, probably with the patches included in it, all on one cartridge, 3 games, for a cheaper price too. Not bad. So Rockstar is dipping their toes back into the Nintendo waters, because it's been a while since they've hit the system hard. In fact, You could argue they never hit the system hard. They had Chinatown Wars come out back in the Nintendo DS era. And they've had some support here and there over the years, but the main games never released on Nintendo systems as they were coming out live. GTA 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have Red Dead Redemption though on Nintendo Switch also. There are rumors definitely going around of a Red Dead Redemption 2, like a remastered kind of version, which the base game already looks wonderful as is, like on just a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One. So to have Nintendo Switch 2 being overall more capable than a PS4 or an Xbox One, having that game that already looks nice with DLSS and modern tech and more gigs of RAM, etc., on Nintendo Switch 2, I think you're going to be in for a treat. And they bump it up a little bit from there. Now, if like PS5 and Xbox Series gets it, that's going to be an even better looking version of Red Dead 2, but Nintendo Switch 2 would be plenty cool looking. But will they do GTA 5? Will they do GTA 6? We'll see. Mr. Chicken Lad, early stream again? Yeah. This morning I thought I would hop on early because even earlier than when I did hop on, which was like 18 minutes ago, we normally get the Famitsu sales, coming in from Japan on Thursdays. Software, top 10. Hardware, top several, showing this is how well gaming is doing in Japan. Here are the best-selling games of the week. Here's how many Nintendo Switch models sold versus OLED models versus Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, PS5 Pro, etc. And we just don't have it today. So it's like, we ended up talking about Capcom a little bit at the beginning of this stream and how Capcom is going to be at the New York Comic Con October 13th or so, having a 90-minute presentation. Then we went into Grand Theft Auto talk. And here we are now. They should add Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, that's another big one. I mean, I feel like it's more impactful now than it was on Wii U, but in the beginning of Wii U's life, a lot of the third-party games that were shown were cool seeing on a Nintendo platform because those games didn't come out on Wii when they were coming out on PS3 and Xbox 360. Something like, Batman Arkham City, for instance. So when Batman Arkham City was announced and coming to Wii U, that was cool, but it's like, yeah, but that's not a new game anymore, And then you have Injustice, and the Injustice Wii U version actually was a bit less in terms of content, where it didn't end up getting every character that the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 version received. So that's a little bit of a bummer. On Nintendo Switch 2, however, you are getting, yes, some titles like Street Fighter 6 that have already been out for 2 years. Cyberpunk 2077, a game that came out, close to 5 years ago, although it's a more complete version with all the patches, with the DLC, extra story, etc. So it's more notable, it's more significant that Nintendo Switch 2 is getting something like that that's not content stripped. But then it's also getting the modern, new Madden, day and date, the new WWE 2K. Unlike Nintendo Switch, where you had Dragon Ball Fighter Z and Doom come out later, in some cases because the companies didn't have development kits yet or the system just wasn't out yet. In this case, with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, it's coming out day and date. That's good to see. a couple of upcoming releases will be coming day and date. And that's important. Borderlands 4 is coming out within a couple of weeks after. Like that's fine. That's hardly a oh no, it's coming out 3 months later, 6 months later. That's a lot. That's a considerable amount of time to wait. You picked up Octopath Traveler 2 yesterday on Steam. That's cool. I played the first Octopath Traveler. I didn't end up beating it though, but I liked it quite a bit. And it's one of those games like, I should have finished it, or maybe one day I'll hop back in and continue, because here we have 0 coming out, and I ended up not playing 2, or maybe I just played a demo of 2, but nothing too significant. Gotta love Steam sales, yeah? Have you played the HD 2D Dragon Quest remake? No, and I'd like to play 3 because I know that it goes 3, 1, 2, and 1, 2 is coming out soon. So it would be good to go back and play that. Yeah. But yeah, you're caught up now with what's the discussion about so far this morning, and what was it going to be about. If we end up getting our Famitsu sales data later today, I will probably end up having a second stream, and maybe that one will be a horizontal stream. And just right now, this is the vertical attempt for today, just to see what it's like and see how people are responding to vertical versus horizontal, etc. Before I get in like a new schedule of how often do we do this, what time is that schedule of Monday and Thursday being gaming oriented good, Tuesday being martial arts fitness oriented cool, Wednesday a general talk that could be anything, so people don't think it's gonna be gaming, and then it didn't talk about gaming at all. No, it was just pure variety, right? We'll see. I want Chrono Trigger 2, yeah, or Chrono Trigger 2D HD, yeah. An HD 2D take on Chrono Trigger would look really nice. If I had to pick, though, I would say at this point, you've waited so long for Chrono Trigger. You've also waited to do anything with it, right? And you've also waited a decent amount of years into this 2D HD, or is it HD 2D? Right now, I'm like, I read it both ways when you typed it in earlier, because you wrote it both HD 2D and 2D HD. I feel like it's been a while, and we've had quite a few games come out with that engine, with that look, Live Alive, etc. That Chrono Trigger, though I think it would benefit and be really good for that look, wait a little bit longer until you have what is the next phase of this HD 2D. Like, we just played that The Adventures of Elliot demo, which was really nice, by the way. Like, if you haven't checked that out, it kind of feels like a Zelda, A Link to the Past type game with this, modern look at the 2D pixel era HD 2D, right? There you go. So, HD 2D's next evolution. I'm not saying, well, wouldn't that be 3D? No, like, I think that pixel look would fit Chrono Trigger, but since we've had so many HD 2D games, I wouldn't want Chrono Trigger to get lost in the, HD 2D, it used to be a cool polarizing look, like, wow, this is a nice combination of old school and new school. I see what they're doing. Now, been there, done that. Now, I think Chrono Trigger holds enough weight in the video game industry, enough weight in a lot of gamers' hearts and minds that have occupied them for the last, 25 plus years, and enough curiosity factor by others that might be younger or that just have never experienced the game originally to want to pick up, even if it did look a little bit samey in a sense of graphical style as some of these other HD 2D games. But yeah, having that little bit of a pause and how can we improve this style more to differentiate it so it's really appreciated that, hey, this is a big game. Nintendo Prime, welcome. Finally caught one of these. Yeah, you know what? This morning's live stream was supposed to be here we have the Famitsu sales data Thursday morning. And that was the topic. Well, it never dropped today. So what I might end up doing is having another vertical stream later on, or maybe it'll be a horizontal live stream to go over the data when it does drop. So this morning has just been talking about, hey, Capcom's got a 90-minute presentation set for Comic-Con in October, like October 13th. What do we expect? What are we anticipating to be there? How cool would it be for Beautiful Joe to show up? Probably we will see Okami. The next look at Crimson Viper coming to Street Fighter 6. How about some Resident Evil announcements coming to Nintendo Switch 2? Could we be oh so lucky to get a Mega Man game finally in the 2020s? Like a nice, good quality Mega Man X 2D, beautiful, side-scrolling action adventure platformer, or a Mega Man Legends 3 finally, evolving on the concept from the 3DS game that was at one time, in development, like 2012 and canceled. 90 minutes is pretty long. Mr. Chicken Lad, any indie games you're excited for? The big one for me is easily Hades 2. I loved the first Hades on Nintendo Switch. Hades 2 at the Nintendo Switch 2 experience in Los Angeles a few months back was a lot of fun, and I'm really hyped for that. I think it's going to be a really big get for Nintendo to have first dibs in terms of, console exclusivity. We don't know yet how many months that will last, nor do we know the release date, month, nothing for Hades 2. That could benefit from a Nintendo Direct. It would be nice to have, now I'm deviating into Nintendo Direct speculation, but September 3rd as a general Nintendo Direct would be super cool, with September 17th being a Super Mario Bros. 40th Anniversary Direct. It's a little bit too fitting because September 17th is Charles Martinet's birthday, who doesn't voice Mario in the games anymore. But the way that Nintendo Direct, that Mario one would look like, in my opinion, fanboy speculation, ideal opinion, Hopium here, would be, they open up with Mr. Miyamoto, and it's a Mario movie update. We're here today with some friends on stage that are going to join us to discuss the Super Mario World movie coming to theaters April 3rd, 2026. And, you've got Chris Pratt reprising his role as, Mario, and Miss Anya Taylor-Joy coming back as Princess Peach, and Jack Black as Bowser, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. And, perhaps they're not having everybody on stage, but just kind of getting people hyped up that, hey, these big actors are coming back, and, playing Wario, Adam Sandler, like something crazy, unexpected, like, whoa, you got another big name as Wario or Waluigi or or somebody as Yoshi, right? Or Bowser Jr. Something fun. This is how you open it up, and once again, our longtime friend, Mr. Charles Martinet, will be in the movie once again. But then again, I guess you have to say, well, and Kevin Afghani too, because do you not highlight him when he is the current Mario of the games? I don't know. Like I said, it's a little bit of a hopium, a little bit of a wishful thinking, but this would be fun. And they show the image of the you show the image of the title, Super Mario World, the movie, or something like that. Maybe a little trailer, just a poster. I don't know. That's how you start off that Mario Direct. Then you go into, here's something that you could expect. Super Mario 3D All-Stars coming back, including a Nintendo Switch 2 edition at no extra charge. Will there be an upgrade path if you're playing on the Nintendo Switch 2 with your base cartridge, but it'll bring the 3 games into 4K, including Super Mario 64 with alternate controls to utilize that analog stick for the camera, and a widescreen mode, because that game didn't have it. Sunshine and Galaxy got that 16:9 treatment. Mario 64 didn't. So the game is coming back for a temporary amount of time. Once again, people will gobble it up. It's at like 9.5 million or 9.95 million. Yeah, I think it's that. It's like really close to hitting 10. So they'll just unlock it. Available once again on Nintendo Switch. Available on Nintendo Switch 2 for the first time. And something new today. Please enjoy Super Mario 3D All-Stars 2. Once again, for Nintendo Switch and for Nintendo Switch 2. Available in 4K on Nintendo Switch 2. And if you buy the Nintendo Switch version, you will be able to, grandfather yourself in to upgrading for free on Nintendo Switch 2 eventually. And I say this because, once again, limited time, that's all it's going to be for. But you're going to get yourself Super Mario Galaxy 2 remastered with the Metroid Prime 2 treatment, Super Mario 64 DS HD, and Super Mario 3D Land HD. And that's how you continue this Mario Direct after you started off with this movie announcement. You got 3D All-Stars coming back, 3D All-Stars 2 being a thing. Then you go into some partnership stuff for what we're doing for the 40th anniversary, including continuing our friendship with Lego Company, and give a little tease of a Mario Lego set that looks pretty sweet coming out 2026. We will be once again teaming up with Levi's, and here's some new jackets and cool stuff for that. And we leave you with one last thing, and it is, Mario running along the Mushroom Kingdom, reaching out for some kind of orb, and then getting, transported into space. He's looking around, but he's in a cockpit, and all of a sudden, he looks to the left, and Fox McCloud looks to the right. It's like, what? Yeah, you're in an R-Wing, and you're flying around and doing this kind of stuff. Crazy. And some explosion happens, and you hop back into Mushroom Kingdom. You're walking around, jumping, doing some platforming. You reach out to another orb. It transports you to another green, grassy area, and all you see is a Master Sword going down. I was like, oh, what? And then they release Super Mario Universe. And Nintendo figureheads, they come up on stage, and they're like, yes, Mario's next outing is going bigger and more bold than ever before. Mario will be going to different Nintendo universes. You saw a little tease. There's plenty more to come. Coming in 2026. Boom! Just some trailer like that with that kind of ambition where, yeah, Mario was the connector of the Nintendo universe, He's going to take you everywhere. And, yeah. I don't know. That's how you end it. That's a perfect, 18-minute presentation. Whew! That was a lot of talk there. I don't know who brought that on. Was that Nate showing up and got me thinking? Going off of Mr. Chicken Lad's conversation, you're looking for Slay the Spire 2. Cool. Saints Haven, welcome. Have I beaten Donkey Kong Bonanza yet? Yes, I have. On the 14th day of owning it. So, not trying to rush through or anything like that. Just playing every day for 2 weeks straight. My end time was like 40 hours and 10 minutes. I put up on X like how many bananas of the total at the time did I get, how many records of the total did I get, boom, boom, boom. And it was something like 65 to 75% of all things picked up, and that's what that 40 hours and 10 minutes represented. A lot of the time playing single player, but enough of the time also playing multiplayer with my kids, co-op, with one of them as Pauline. So that was a lot of fun. I love the game. Amazing. I've been playing the post game now, last couple days in a row, and it's so much fun. I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, I love it. Mega Man, yeah, hype for that. Freddie Mercury from Greece, welcome. Thank you for being here. It's what, 7:40 a.m. or something like that right now for you? I mean, 7:40 p.m. Yeah, 7:40 at night on this Thursday. Just finished some dinner, hopefully, or something. Hope you're having a good evening. Do I think there will be a Pikmin 5? Still haven't played the new one. Yeah, I think so. Nintendo is not done with Pikmin. I don't think they're done with anything. Like, the video game industry is too young to say we're never going to have this happen. We're never going to see this. You know, just in the last 40 years, so many unexpected things happened that I won't omit anything, right? I never thought Sega and Nintendo would team up, that there would be a Mario and Sonic Olympics game, that Sonic would be in Smash Brothers, that there would be a made by Nintendo circle around the back of a Sega Genesis controller made for a Nintendo console. Like, this is crazy stuff. So yeah, Pikmin 5, it'll happen. Pikmin 4 is a really good game. I definitely recommend it. I wouldn't be surprised even if we get like some kind of Pikmin 4 Nintendo Switch 2 edition or some kind of, you know, free, officially upgraded patch, like something considerable. That would be sweet. Hades 2. So you've already been playing it on Steam? That's awesome. Your Mount Rushmore of actors for that movie is going to be so good. Saints Haven, yeah. I really, really liked the Super Mario Brothers movie. Is it right here? Yeah, there's my ticket for the red carpet premiere in LA a couple of years ago. Yeah, that red carpet premiere was really, really fun. Got to go to the movie early, after party down the street early. Oh wait, that wasn't a ticket for the movie. That was a ticket for the after party. Oh, I forgot. Either way, one of the tickets up there is for the movie, red carpet premiere. One's for the after party. Dank Meme Center X. Hello, welcome. Oh, Clip Z, YT official. What's your favorite zone in Sonic 3? Angel Island Zone, Marble Garden Zone. One of those two. Maybe Angel Garden Zone. I know it's basic, it's early, but I like the music, I like the vibe, I like the look. Let's see. Meme Center X. You can't take legitimate risk anymore if the market doesn't respond well. That IP and studio shutters in a blink of an eye. The days of GameCube, PS2, Xbox were you, and more risk-taking IPs coming out. Yeah, with gaming costing more and more to develop these days, it feels like more companies are taking the attemptedly so safer approach in terms of genres and stuff like that. As budgets increase, as development times increase, it's become a thing. This is why I support and root for and will buy Nintendo's big heavy hitters for a couple of reasons. I'll buy that next big Zelda, I'll buy that next big Mario because I'll put my money where my mouth is. I want more Zelda, I want more Mario. I want this next Zelda game to be a 20 million seller, or the next Mario to be a 20 million seller, because one, it tells Nintendo, hey, you spend this 5-6 year development time, I'm gonna buy it, and 20, 30 million other people are gonna buy it. You're gonna make your money back. We want more of this. I love the experience that I get from my 3D Mario, from my 3D Zelda, etc. Two, yeah, I want you to make more money, Nintendo. I want you to have hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, because then I will get some of that experimental Nintendo also, because where everyone else in the world, everyone else in the video game industry is on the verge, on the tipping scale of a layoff or something like that, because they're putting $300 million into a project and only making 290 back, or making 400, and it's like, it's not enough of a profit margin to sustain this. Here, Nintendo can make the mega bucks off of the tried and true, guaranteed. Hey, we're gonna put in 150 million, which is not cheap, but it's not this gargantuan sum in comparison to some studios. We're gonna make more than enough back, and then we could risk something. We could spend a 30 million here, or 10 million there, or 50 million there. Not that you want to like develop crap, put out there something that no one's gonna buy, put out there something lackluster, but you could take a little bit of a risk and do something kind of weird, kind of different. You don't know if that weird, different, quirky thing is going to be the next big thing, like Splatoon, a still decent success story like ARMS, something fun and unique enough like Labo or Game Builder Garage, or kind of experimental but fun, and on the lower end of probably development budgets and cycles like Dragon Drive, but you're going to get that kind of stuff. And then you've got more money and risk factor that could go into something that's not a guaranteed success, like, ooh, have we ever had a Kirby game crack 7 million? No, but now we have. Have we ever had a Donkey Kong game top 11 million? No, but ooh, did we put a lot of effort into Donkey Kong Bonanza, and has it been in development for some time? And that game is brilliant, and the reviews are showing it, and the sales of close to 1 million in that opening week frame from around the world are saying people love it. I'm hoping that the game does like at least 11 million. I say 11 because that fits in between Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Luigi's Mansion 3. So 11 is not bad. I would like for it to, like top 15, top 20. That would be awesome. It would have to be a true evergreen in order for it to do that. Especially being a launch game, that thing's got to stay relevant for years to go into that level. That means every 3 months, when you've got a few million Nintendo Switch 2s being sold, you have to have, a couple million. You gotta have half or 2/3 of that audience buying Donkey Kong Bonanza, and that's got to continue for a couple of years until it trickles down into, several 100,000, couple 100,000 every quarter thereon. But we'll see. But yeah, good point, Dank Meme Center X. Who is still here in the chat, by the way? Well, just as I typed that, Dank Meme Center X with a comment, all good points there. Yeah, thanks. I mean, yeah. And good points yourself, That risk factor is something to consider. I don't want to see studios close. I do like big games. I'm looking forward to Ghost of Yotei. Uh, I'm sure I will pick up an Assassin's Creed down the road when a new one in particular looks really good, really exciting. There are some games, some franchises that are too big that they're not at risk of, closing out like Call of Duty. It's always going to be around. But Splinter Cell, once semi-regular, now kind of gone. Prince of Persia, really big in that early 2000s era, and now, well, gone for a while. Then we had our 2D Metroidvania like one early this year, like January or so, I think it released. We have another one. We have the Sands of Time remake. So there are definitely some titles that I think we could rely on always being around, and then others that just aren't a guarantee anymore. But the industry could decide to dial back a bit, but they might be pressured to maximize hardware yet again when they've barely got their footing in to this gen. When you've got, hey, Sony saying, well, reports indicating that PlayStation 6 might be coming out somewhere between November 2026 and like March 2027, where a lot of folks are like, dude, I've had my PS5 for barely 5 years and I have not received from it the amount of output that I thought Sony would be making or other third parties would be making exclusively for it. It's still plenty good looking visually. Do I really need to go up again? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Mr. Chicken Lad, I'm glad you're here. Still, Nintendo Prime, are you still here? Dank Meme Center X, would you say Activision devalued Crash importance in the sphere? Yeah. They put in some nice detail in this last gen with the Crash Bandicoot trilogy remake. Like, that was handled well. It wasn't just an up-res, it was, hey, a carefully repainting over these three games. Crash Kart Racing, kind of combining the two Crash racing games from the past into one nice package. It was a smooth experience. I liked it. It was good. Hey, they made a Crash Bandicoot 4. Like a new entry. That was a really good game. That was nice. But it looks like whatever was being planned for Crash Next was just canceled, and that's kind of unfortunate. But I would say that at least we did get something. It's just, is there hope likely for the future? Long run, I would say we have yet to see the end of Crash Bandicoot. I think we're going to get more Crash in time, but not for the foreseeable future. Like Banjo-Kazooie, I don't truly believe that Banjo-Kazooie is gone forever. I think it'll pop up one day. The world is too long. History has too much going forward to omit things from ever happening again. Like, as unfortunate as it is that Perfect Dark got canceled, as unfortunate of a thing as that game getting canceled was, I don't think that Perfect Dark is gone forever. I think we'll get it back one day. And that's not entirely wishful thinking. That's just, here's a company for the history of what's left, which is many, many years to come, many decades to come, owning something and not doing anything with it at all. It really doesn't seem productive. at one point, it could be decades later, someone's like, dude, so what are we doing? We're going through the books, Perfect Dark. I don't know. You got one? You want it? You want to sell it for like 10 million bucks? Sure. Someone will buy it for 10 million bucks. Like that kind of thing, as silly as that is, that could happen. It's just not likely in these upcoming few years for a new PD to be put into development, especially after this one just got canceled after, like, what, a few years? We thought things were going okay. I mean, we had a feeling that things behind the scenes on the development side were a little bit but just an abrupt cancellation, lame. Sarah Usri, thank you for the nice comment. I appreciate it. Let's see. Too many shareholders in the room dictating how to move the product game instead of the developer, first in mind. Suits that want to continue flourishing the industry forward from a pure gameplay front. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that if Crash Bandicoot 4 did 27 million in sales across Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, that Microsoft would be like, whoa, this game, let's hop in a Crash Bandicoot 5 instantly. There's no way we're canceling that. The thing sold 27 million at 60 bucks a pop. We didn't even have to reduce it. Heck yeah, we're going forward. Hey, dude, we just did like Super Mario Odyssey numbers. But that's also not the case. So, how much do the people care about it? How much is it making? Is it worth enough taking this much manpower, woman power, person power away from this side to make this game, when this game will do this type of generating powers and this game will do like this, or maybe even lose? And then they cut teams and they reallocate where folks go. Banjo is bound to reappear, but Rare is gone as a company. Shame Microsoft couldn't shop around the IP to Double Fine or maybe even Toys for Bob. Dang it. I don't know if Nintendo would make a new Conker, but I would like a new Conker. But, this sounds a little bit crazy, unrealistic, but whatever, go with it. I wouldn't mind a Microsoft-funded Banjo-Kazooie game that Nintendo develops, that Nintendo puts out on Nintendo Switch 2, and gives the code for Microsoft, and that they work together to say, okay, here's an Xbox Series version, and the two run identical. There is no benefit that one has or another. There's no motion control that makes the Nintendo Switch 2 version better. No mouse control that you can only experience here. No improved visuals on the Xbox side that, hey, it's a little bit sharper of a 4K, a little bit better of a 60 frames per second than the Nintendo Switch 2 version. It's just equal across both. Microsoft fully funded it. Nintendo spent their years developing it because they had their team, and then they worked together to make it, appear on both. They release at the same time, and they split the profits. Microsoft gets half of the sales of whatever the game sells on Switch 2 or Xbox Series. Nintendo gets half the sales of what it sells on their own system and Xbox Series. There you go. Problem solved. That's how you get a new awesome Banjo-Kazooie game. Now you do that with Conker, that would also be cool. But I think that one's less likely because I see Nintendo making a Conker further down than the likelihood of them making a Banjo. Because, you look at Donkey Kong and Pauline, man, dude, I could see a Banjo and Kazooie like that. Different, but you know what I mean? The Insane Trilogy had no reason to be cheap, given it was a full remake of the games, so it conditioned the audience on how Crash should be instead of following the current price at the time. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And that's also kind of how I feel regarding Xbox Game Pass. It's a great service. It's a very solid value in gaming. You're getting modern day big titles, not for $70 a pop, but $30 to rent and have access to quite some dozens of titles per month throughout the year, etc. Now you're paying a decent amount of money throughout the year, but the quantity in which you are having access to is quite substantial. But then, if a game, let's say, releases on Xbox a la carte for 60, 70, even if it's good, if it's not on Game Pass, does that audience that got used to paying for a rental service at a cheaper rate per month than 60 or 70 feel the desire, the worthiness of this title being priced at 60 or 70? Probably not as much. So it's kind of similar to that Crash post of yours. Awaiting Eternal Darkness revival. Yeah, Nintendo updates that filing every so often, and it's probably just to keep it secure in their database of ownership of it. But once in a while, I get wishful thinking of, yeah, Eternal Darkness would be cool. Nintendo, they have a lot of fun variety. They've got a popular fighting game in Smash. They have a couple of alternate fighting games in ARMS and potentially Punch Out if they reworked that to be a fighting game and not just, an experience of you versus the arcade. They have a shooter in Splatoon. They could have a second online multiplayer shooter in Metroid, and maybe Metroid Prime 4 will have a multiplayer mode that's a first-person one. But they have a popular, well, I say popular because I love it, but they have a popular T-rated franchise in Metroid, but at least I think Metroid is going to get bigger. It's about time. They have a cool sci-fi character. They have plenty of cool 3D looking characters that are good for action and platforming that all play and feel a little bit different in, Mario and Yoshi, Kirby and Donkey Kong, that they work well in 3D settings, 2D settings, different art styles. You've got the king of action adventure games in The Legend of Zelda. You have some strategy RPG and Fire Emblem, some like Japanese role-playing game setups in Xenoblade Chronicles. So you cover quite a bit. But Eternal Darkness, as an M-rated exclusive horror game, now is horror game the biggest genre? No. But would it be nice to have, or to capture some of that Last of Us audience, Last of Us Resident Evil audience, a little bit more mature on Nintendo Switch too? I think it'd be nice. It'd be a cool get. I am hoping that the big title from Monolith Soft, with that woman with the sword with the red dragon in the background, this promotional art that we've seen years ago, ends up being this big new awesome medieval fantasy action RPG. That's another game that Nintendo could have that's like Zelda without being Link and Hyrule. That's totally different. Or take Kid Icarus, have Pit in his own new awesome action, story-based, heavy adventure, quick game. That's really why I want to see Star Fox come back in something like a Ratchet and Clank meets Star Fox. So it's online, it's multiplayer, it's cooperative, it's versus, it's story-based, it's land-based, it's aerial combat, everything. And you've got Pikmin. And Nintendo has a lot. Maybe they don't really have that slower pace, behind the back, third-person, heavy action, heavy story game like a God of War, right? Spider-Man plays quite a bit different than God of War, but like that story-focused, heavy, third-person action game. because Zelda is a very different title, you know. You've got puzzle and adventure and action elements all up in there. Yeah. And of course you've got racing with Mario Kart and Kirby Air Riders. They could always pull from the past and do wave race, Excitebike 1080, snowboarding. There's plenty. Yeah. Splits have to be an advantage on Nintendo's side to commit if only investors. Q&A chat about if they have plans to reintroduce past series in the current landscape. Yeah. And that's the benefit from them making so much money. There are different ways to reintegrate the past that's a little bit less risky. I mean, look, F-Zero came back with F-Zero 99. I think we're eventually going to get an F-Zero game again, like a new, proper, big racing one, at some point. I think the same is true for Ice Climber. I think we'll get Ice Climber again one day. Do I think it'll be the same, big budget, $130, $190 million game, 7 years in development, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Tears of the Kingdom experience for Ice Climber? No. Do I even think it'll necessarily be like as big as a Kirby and the Forgotten Land or ARMS? No, but something within that Rhythm Heaven WarioWare level, or at least an Ice Climber 99? That seems possible. I can't omit this from being a possibility just because I've learned to expect the unexpected in the industry, and really Nintendo has shown that they do that quite a bit. Variety is the spice of life. Yup. It's one of my sayings. I agree, Dank Meme Center X. Yeah. Good talk. I'm glad more and more people showed up because this was a fun live. Even if we didn't get our video game sales talk today, let me refresh. Let's see. Did we end up getting it? I don't think so. I might be back on later. Yeah, not yet. But that's okay. Good talk. Thank you all for being here, for watching PGN Live. Hope you had some fun. That was a cool discussion. This video will be up later on the channel, so if you somehow stumble upon this video and you ended up watching for 64 minutes almost, thank you for watching all of this, especially later, because I know watching it not live is a little bit different. Dank Meme Center X. Anyway, gotta head back to work. Haha. Yes. Well, I hope this was a good work break for you. Have a good rest of your day at work, man. Take it easy. Everybody else in the chat, whether you are able to type and want to say bye so I could read your name, give you a shout out, say bye, and say thanks, or if you're just chilling behind the scenes, it's all good. Diabolic Native, thanks, Paul. Have a good day. You're welcome. Thank you. Have a good day, too. You all have a good one, the rest of you that are here. And hope to see you later, whether it's in another vertical or a horizontal. Adam Young, bye, Paul. Have a good day. Bye, Adam. Have a good one, too. I'll be back for more, whether it's today for a second live or tomorrow, if and when we eventually get the sales data. I'll be back. All right. Take care, everybody. PGN signing out. Bye.